we're getting into our next conversation. For those of us who are homeschooled, we think the moon landing was fake. Is it the new way to learn? In studio with us, we have Hellen Wambui, founder of Elimu Plus Homeschool, and we'll be talking about homeschooling essentially. 101. Are we moving towards it in large numbers? Why? What's working? What's not working? And of course, in what structures does homeschooling exist? But good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. It's nice to have you in studio, Hellen.
Thank you.
Just before we get into the conversation, Jano will share the quote of the day. You can see if it speaks to you and resonates with you or not. Yeah.
The quote is by Max Stirner, who was a German philosopher, and he once said, "The state calls its own violence law, but that of the individual, crime."
Interesting. Okay.
She's like, do I say the honest maoni ama I filter?
Am I a filter?
Yeah.
Okay. For me, somehow it speaks to me. Not so much, but somehow it does.
Yeah.
And I think I'll talk as a homeschooler, if you don't mind, in regards to that law.
Yeah.
For example, if a homeschooling parent decides to probably educate the child and you produce your own report card, okay? So you produce your own report card, your child is very qualified. The child, if you compare that child with a child who has probably finished KCSE, they're qualified, okay? But you have your own report card. You don't have a report card from the government or the KCSE certificate from the NEC. You'll not be recognized. As much as if you were to actually do that exams together with other students, probably the child will perform better, but you wouldn't be recognized. So I think that's how it relates to me, especially in reference to homeschooling.
So, okay. I'm just going to dive right into that interpretation. If the child has been learning and is competent, why not just sit the regular exams and get the regular certification?
Actually, that's what we do. Yeah, in Elimu Plus, we ensure that those homeschooling parents, because previously you could find homeschooling parents, they choose their own curriculum, they choose the way to teach kids, but they don't have evidence or any certification to show. So that's where we come in as an institution. We've partnered with schools, so we ensure that this child has gone to school and done a certification that is similar and equivalent to the rest.
Okay, so there's regulation, because I was going to say one of the criticisms that people put out on homeschooling is that it's a largely unregulated sector. But take us through the 101. How would you describe homeschooling? And then earlier when we were speaking with Mariam and Eric, it's like, okay, when is that threshold from homeschooling to now there's a school? If you're in an estate and you were homeschooling 4 or 5 people or your kids, and then your neighbors' kids and neighbors, and now you're 50, is that still homeschooling? So just take us
school
through.
In a home.
It's a school.
It's a school in a home.
Yeah.
The point there is home and there is school.
Yep.
So it's a school and a home. So let me get your question
What's
clear.
Homeschooling, yes.
What is homeschooling? So homeschooling is basically a child schooling from home. And there are various methods in which a child can school from home. So for example, nowadays we have institutions that offer homeschooling. And then we have parents that decide to homeschool their own kids. Then we have parents who call teachers to homeschool their child, and these teachers are normally freelancing teachers. So that is how it is. Yeah.
So a child schooling from home. So this thing basically is a child who is studying in a place not registered as a school, right?
Yeah.
Because they could leave my house and go to the neighbor's house and they're schooling from there. That's homeschooling still.
Yeah.
As long as they have not gone to a place written X junior school or X academy. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. You school from home. You can even school from anywhere. Your car.
And
you're doing online classes.
The teachers can be coming to home, to my home, different teachers for different subjects, and there's an entire timetable. So it's basically school, but at home.
But at home.
Why?
Why? Okay, thank you. Good question. We realize that not everyone can fit in a regular school. A reason being is most parents, like for example, when we have clients calling us and asking us and inquiring about our homeschooling services, we usually ask them, why homeschooling? And most of the answers are they want personalized learning. They want one-on-one. They are not able to fit in a regular school, maybe because of the ratio of the teacher to learner, which is approximately 1:45. So they want one-on-one attention, okay? The other reason why people homeschool is special needs kids. These kids are not able to fit in school. The other bit, we have students who are sickly. So a child is probably is asthmatic or any kind of sickness. So they are regularly out of school. So they are always at home. So they miss a lot in school. You come back, you've already missed out. So they choose to homeschool so that they can recover. So the other bit is expatriate parents, mostly Kenyan expatriates, because those are the ones who work with them. And also parents who travel a lot from one country to another. So you travel to this country, you switch the child. You travel to another one, you switch. So it becomes difficult for them. But if they are doing homeschooling, which is online, they are capable of moving from one place to another comfortably while the child is still they are learning.
Let me add another one I saw on the internet. Just they're called what, nomad parents? Is that the word? Yeah, they're not. It's not for work. It's just they've chosen
to be traveling.
To be traveling all the time. So then they do have to homeschool their kids.
Exactly.
And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, whatever.
There's an element there that Helen you've introduced that's okay, like nomad parents for whatever reason, whether it's for leisure or for work, but you can be linked to a school where the school is then sending you material to learn.
Exactly.
Is that homeschooling or are you studying? You can be, enrolled in a particular school, but the school understands that you will not be able to attend 100%. So to ensure that you're still continuing to learn, they'll send you the material.
Okay.
And there's supervision and instruction, whether it's going to be online, virtually, the teacher will log on, they'll have classes, like happened during COVID. Is that homeschooling?
Yes, it's homeschooling because the child is not in school.
The teacher is for the school?
The child is at home.
All right.
The child is eating from home, doing everything from home.
Not leaving their
so maybe I give an example. When you're given homework, you're given homework in school, but you do it at home. So homework, anything done at home, as much as maybe it's coming from a school or an institution, is homeschool.
So what we did during COVID was homeschooling?
I was about to say,
Exactly.
That's here.
Okay. And it's different from tuition because I guess that's different because tuition is supplementary.
Like extra supplementary tuition.
How do you integrate this? Oh, hold on. You're still drawing the thread. It's like 1 plus
because
1.
I'm seeing that I can understand where the parents are moving and on. I can also understand the special needs and the sickly child. And that is a system issue. All right. So this is where now again we have beef with government because you're providing private solutions to a public need. There should be learning institutions that should be able to accommodate these special needs children and all comfortably. This one that the parent wants personalized learning for their child. Explain that.
Okay. So most of the time you find out that maybe I can take you back to school. When you are schooling and maybe in a maths lesson, I'm a maths teacher by profession, so I'll relate with that. And maybe I tell you, so you're busy, you are learning, and then the teacher says, maybe Simon, and says, Simon, have you understood? Yes. Then the teacher moves on because maybe one of the brightest child has understood, but the rest are left behind. And there are many who are usually left behind. So that's why they choose personalized. They move according to their pace. And funny enough, those students who may take long to catch up in school, once they do homeschool and it's personalized, they move faster. You see, during the COVID period, we had a lot of clients who had stayed out of school for even up to 2 years. So we had to make them catch up. Yeah, so
that's quite a long time.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, John, sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
So you're saying, this is a situation where it's a big classroom. Teacher asks, Simon umeshika, Jano umeshika, Aya, and moves on. Mariam is struggling. Is the answer not just smaller classes? Just thinking out loud here.
Or the teacher,
It is smaller classes,
recognizing
actually.
that Mariam is the one who doesn't answer, but the results show that she did not catch. The teacher asking Mariam. Instead of the teacher focusing on asking Jano, who's the bright kid in the class, why doesn't teacher Helen go for the one that she knows? This one is usually not as quick to understand because the teacher can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the problem is most teachers want to finish the syllabus on time. especially in maths and science, because being a maths teacher and I've been in a regular school, tunapelekango mbio. You need to finish the syllabus on time.
Right.
So because of that, they move with the learner who is, not all the time, but most of the time you find these teachers, they move with at least 2-3 learners who understand. Then sometimes they ask the students, make sure you see Janet at the end of the lesson. Janet will teach you,
Right.
Yeah.
How do you integrate the social development when it comes to homeschooling? Because I think that's also a concern people have. How do they interact with others?
Good question. So funny enough, homeschool has shifted. We are now doing like, for example, in our school, 90% are online, 10% are home-based, where we send a teacher to their home, which is in 2020, when 2020 was starting, we didn't have any online classes. It started, was it March? We didn't have any online classes, 100% home-based, but now it has transitioned to homeschooling. So now let me tell you how we socialize. So number one, we have clubs. Online clubs, and these clubs are like STEMs, where they do projects, they record videos. We have content creation. Students now are into social media, they are creating content. We teach them how to create content, edit videos and all that. And then we have STEM, we have creative arts, we have cooking club, like your laptop is on, you're in the kitchen, you're cooking, like such kind of clubs, and they happen every week, okay? So besides that, we have weekly meetups. We go to sports club around Nairobi, where they meet, do sporting activities. Like our classes end by Friday, 12. After 12, we meet at the sports club and we do those activities. And so the aspect of socialization is there. Plus now,
But that's a physical meeting.
Physical meeting,
Okay.
yes. And again, at the end of the term, like today as we speak, our students are out there doing the activities in the river. Sporting activities, any academic field trips, among others.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because my question was then, the physical, like, socialization
Exactly.
is so necessary.
Yeah.
Is it sufficient? And I know you're better placed because you know the studies, you know the science behind it. Is that enough socialization? Because thinking of children in school, in regular school, they are socializing 100% of the time. There's no minute when you're alone in school, as opposed to this where you have to now find time to go to the sports club and see your friends for a couple of hours a week. And then, is that enough socialization for growing children?
Yes, it's enough socialization, because number one, after school, especially for these young kids, after school, they usually go and do activities at home. Maybe they are skating, they are playing with their neighbors. Besides that, in class, it's live class, one-on-one interaction. We have group discussion. Students discuss just like in a normal school. The only difference is we are personalized and we are fewer. Our ratio is 1:7.
One teacher,
one teacher
to 7 learners. So you find that if you're having 1:7, then the
Then
learners
it's personalized.
number one, it's personalized. Number two, you'll always socialize. You're always discussing. Teacher, no, that is not right. Teacher,
It's engaging.
They're always engaged.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah.
What is this thing that you have 7 learners? And what is this? That's a school. I mean,
Yeah,
It's
a
a
homeschool.
homeschool.
Thank you.
So it's an upbet. It's an alternative education system. It's this is.
But it
Can we
is
just call it a school?
Yeah,
This
which is a
homeschool idea sounds like, your child is at home and you're either teaching them alone, and then they shall meet and play with others as time goes by. But here you have a structure where Hellen and her, what's called what? Elimu Plus are coming in, and they're taking your children and they are, walking them through a journey. Hellen is basically a school. Elimu Plus is a school.
maybe
The
differentiate
only thing
then.
here is that you are not registered and therefore recognized by the Ministry of Education. And I'm asking you, why not? Why aren't you recognized by the Ministry of Education? You're offering the same, you're offering education. At the end, you are teaming up with some school heads so that these learners can sit an exam that is offered by the Ministry of Education.
Wait, are you not recognized by the
I was
Ministry of
also,
Education?
I'm shook.
Okay, we are under UPBET, Alternative Provision of Basic Education and Training. And UPBET is recognized by Ministry of Education. So what happens is we are not a testing center. So that means students will not, at the end, let's say it's KCSE, they'll not sit for KCSE at our center. They sit at private centers provided by the government.
Okay.
So we have like sub-county director of education. We have also schools. They like make you partner with schools, a public school where students will go and sit exams under that. So that is the provision they have right now.
And this is so, yours is a structured homeschooling, which is the upbet, right? It is structured, the government is able to tell who you are, the government can follow through.
Yeah, true.
There are others who are doing homeschooling minus using people like Elimu Plus, right? And this is why I'm seeing there's a difference between homeschooling that's conducted by other people who just decide, you know, my child is going to be at home, I am going to be getting up every morning and teaching my children, and then maybe I shall, you know, register them for an exam at some point, and they shall sit the exam. And in terms of quality control, supervision and all, you're the one who's your quality control manager and your supervisor, and your child will now know their fate when they sit that exam. That's different.
True.
It's different from upbet.
Yeah, that is very different. And those are some of the challenges that these homeschooling parents face. Yeah, because they are not able to like sometimes even get the right curriculum. Like for example, there was another time a parent was calling me and was telling me that she has a child in grade 3 and she has been homeschooling that child, and then she's busy telling me we've been doing home science, we've been doing creative arts, and I'm like, we already rationalized the curriculum. That is the former curriculum. It already changed. So you see, those are some of the challenges for some of the parents who choose to do it themselves instead of maybe liaising with upbet schools. Which is
what you would advise people to. Then how do you choose what curriculum? Take us through day in the life of a homeschooled child. Even from the onset, does it mean somebody can say, I want my child to lean more towards an education that can get them abroad to the UK or Australia? Not that others can't, but you know what I mean. Or do I want it to lean more towards a much more nationalistic, you know, regional? How do you choose, and then how do you then...
Or are we even choosing like pathways in grade 2?
Exactly.
Like, unajonga kuchora, the way you colored that cat. Art.
I can see arts and social sciences.
That's it.
So when somebody comes to you, how do they then make that decision? Do they come and say, I want something that's more like the British system or CBC, and then now take us through like a day in the life?
Okay, so I'll start with the curriculums and how most parents know what they want. They've done a lot of research. The good thing is everything is out there. So most of them know, but there are some who don't know. So they always ask, which is better? Is it CBC? Is it Cambridge? Because we offer both. Cambridge, the British Cambridge, Pearson Edexcel, and the CBE right now, not CBC, plus the 844. So they usually ask that question. So when they ask, we actually ask them specific questions to get to know what they want. What is their plan? Are they planning to stay in the country? Will they be out there? If they are planning not to be in the country for long, then we advise they do the British Cambridge curriculum. But if they are going to be in Kenya, we advise them that they stick to CBE, because some also have questions, which one is more practical based, which one will my child develop more competency. So we are always there to advise.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you offer then these curricula. Do you also, is there standardization in terms of how the curricula is now rolled out? Yeah, whether if it's CBE and you are in Elimu Plus, are you going at the same pace as someone else who's doing it in Kawaida school? You know, are we moving in tandem? What's covered in term 1 is covered in term 1. What's covered in term, or is it personalized to the extent that you said that, I could be doing term 3 things in term 1 or term 1 things in term 3, depending on my pace as a learner?
Okay. Yeah. So it is usually structured. We move from one step to another. The only difference is we usually have different types of learners. Like right now, I told you we could have like a group of 7 students having one teacher in class, okay? Yeah. But we also have those who prefer just one-on-one. I don't want to be in a group class. So those ones we move according to the pace of the learner. And it is structured. We have to move with what the KICD is providing. If they are from the schemes of work, everything that they are providing, lesson plans, we move according to that pace, because you cannot do term 3 work and skip term 1. It's like it's like when you're doing algebra 2 and you've skipped algebra 1. So we have to move according to.
I'm thinking in a situation where either the learner is either very quick or very slow. So then, you could be done with term 1 work earlier.
Yeah. So we move according to the pace. If the learner is done earlier, we move and move and move. Yeah,
the other way around.
Yeah, especially those who prefer one-on-one.
Okay.
Yeah, we move like that. For those who do like a small group class, we make sure at least before even that time we've already covered the syllabus. So what we do during that time, because it's only 2 months or even less than 2 months, because there's midterm, there's all this, so we make sure during that time they are doing revision, ready to go for next year.
We need to take a break. You'll come back and start with what it's like the day in a life of homeschooling. Also, it's something I've really greatly considered as a parent. So it's like, how do you weigh the pros and cons from access, from resources to time and all of that? But we are speaking with Hellen Wambui. She's the founder of Elimu plus Homeschool. We're talking about homeschooling and just everything that you need to know about it. It's coming up to 8:30. We'll also take some of your questions after this break. Nice. Sherman HQ asks, at the start, you mentioned asking parents why they want to homeschool. Does that mean there are certain criteria or situations where you'd actually advise against homeschooling? It's a really good question. Sherman HQ again asks, for the exam centers, what exactly does a parent need to do to get their homeschooled child registered and ready to sit for KCSE through those centers? And then now ask Jeremy, is like, now in case of a laboratory lesson, do you take them to a school for equipment? He had also asked something about, can a homeschooling teacher give a punishment? Okay. I know we're going to come to day in the life and something else that Mariam had noted, and Eric, but maybe let's speak to what Sherman is asking about. Do you actually advise against homeschooling in some situations?
Okay. Not really. I have actually never advised someone against homeschooling, because by the time a parent is coming to you, they've done thorough research. By the time a parent is choosing to get a child out of school to come and homeschool, they've really, really done a lot of research. So most of the time I don't, and the reason why I ask, it's because so that we can be able to personalize the experience. What is your expectation? What are you looking forward to? What was never met that you'd like us to meet? So those are some of the reasons why we ask these questions, so that we can be able to give you what you're looking for.
Okay. Then he'd also asked, what exactly does the parent need to do to get their homeschool child registered and ready to sit through major exams like national exams?
Okay, I'll give an example of a national exam. We have KCSE, and for those who do Cambridge, you have IGCSE and A-levels. So for KCSE, you just visit the sub-county director of education near you, register your child. You have to have a birth certificate, passport photos. Those are majorly the major requirements. And of course, KCPE certificate if you're going to register for KCSE. But if you didn't do KCSE, like right now, KCP was phased out. You didn't do, but you want to do KCSE. The government provide what you call KCSE qualifying test. It's a test that qualifies you to do the KCSE for those who never sat for KCP, because that is one of the major questions we are asked by our parents. And also adult learners. Adult learners choose to homeschool because you don't want to be seen you're schooling, you know, or you missed school or you dropped out. What was the other
day in
question?
the life? No, that was the other one. Was just about punishment, whether punishment and also access to labs like laboratories.
All right, I'll start with punishment. Mostly, our parents are the ones who discipline the kids, because how can you discipline a child online? But we have regulations. You don't get to class online and your video is off. You don't get to class online and your background is noisy, because you're going to disrupt the rest. So once you do that, we put you in a waiting room. So that is kind of a form of a punishment for not complying. So those are some of the things we implement. But majorly, when it comes to other things, it's the parent who instill discipline. We also have guidance and counseling. You see some of these students who join us, some of them are running away from school because of being bullied. Some are having difficult experiences, majorly in boarding schools. Very difficult, peer pressure. They are going through a lot.
Yeah.
So because of that, we have to incorporate guidance and counseling. So it helps because once a child is guided, discipline is good because a child has been guided.
Laboratories, if people want to access those.
Okay, so for laboratories, we have lab simulations for online classes. What is a lab simulation?
Thank you.
Thank you. It's really interesting because we usually have exact burettes, everything, Bunsen burner, everything online. Your work is to just get a Bunsen burner, drag it, if it's like a burette, you drag it, you put it on the Bunsen burner. If you're taking a certain chemical, you are doing the practical, but you're doing the simulations. You get it? Like you're dragging things. Even electricity, you connect the wires, you take the switch. So learners are able to see visually how these practicals are. And for those who would like to visit, because what online doesn't offer is you can't smell. Right? At least you can see change of color, right? But you cannot smell. So what usually happens, we've partnered with some schools. So during the holidays, we take these students to these schools to do the practicals. The other thing is, besides partnering, we have actually some NGOs and some institutions who have movable labs. They have like a bus which has a whole equipped lab. So for example, if you want to do a laboratory and maybe you are a group of homeschoolers in your area, so you can just call them. Okay. The only problem is it's a bit expensive, but if you are many, it's cheaper.
Yeah, we'll come to the expense in a moment. Let's go through. Bunsen burner.
Yeah, the virtual Bunsen burner. Hey, if I play tennis on my Nintendo, can I play tennis in real life? I don't know.
Yeah. See, people practice by simulation. We've even seen it with golf. And
we have. It's a bit different with the real thing. Anyway, but okay, I see the other options.
Yeah.
It's just like the labs. That's why I'm like, let's put a question mark and come back to
unless
this.
now she said the access is either partnering with a school or having the mobile labs, which I think is really great. Day in the life of a homeschool child. What does that look like?
Okay, it's usually an interesting day because they'll wake up at 7:30 and at 8 they're in class. Okay, that is a homeschooler.
You know, already you've sold
a
that
regular learner. A regular learner. You wake up, you wait for your school bus, you're dropping others. Like for example, I saw a complaint on Twitter of a parent who was saying that a PP2 child wakes up early in the morning, they take a bus, you're dropping, and then they're in class by around some few minutes to 8, then they're already tired even by the time they are starting class. You see,
I see PP1, like a grade 1, grade 2 learners leaving home at the same time as me to come fix the nation at 6. And I'm just like, where are you going with bags that are like weighing them down? It's a bit crazy.
So it's usually interesting. So they'll do the morning routine. So they'll get everything in class and get everything ready. One thing I've noticed about homeschoolers, because I've been in both systems, the regular one and homeschooling, they are independent. That is one thing because there's no bell.
Yeah.
So they are, you can see like a PP2 child checking, it's 8:40, I have a maths lesson. Let me get my maths book ready. Oh, it's 9:20, I need to take a break. Let me go take a break. But in school, the bell has to ring, as in they're always controlled. Then they come, the teacher comes, it's a math lesson. That's when they remember to take the books. So they are usually very independent. So a day in life of a homeschool depends on the age. For those who are young, we usually finish our classes by 12. So that we can give you time to go and relax, do extracurricular activities, if it's swimming, play, whatever you choose to do. Because also the concentration span of young learners, that is from kindergarten to grade 3, which is now PP1, PP2 to grade 3. Then we have other older learners. Their lessons end at 3:20. They usually have regular breaks in between, 1 hour lunch break, as in the feel of a school is there.
Okay.
I know you're asking, it's a school, then it's a homeschool. Yeah, the feel of a school is there. There's school in the home.
Not quite.
Eric is still not quite sold.
The ambience of a school is you are here with your fellow learners, you're making noise, the teacher is telling you keep quiet.
If that's what you like. If you're an introvert, this sounds
Even
like a
if
dream.
you're an introvert, you just want you
like
even
community.
You're just not interacting, but there's that. There's that vibrancy around you. I mean, I can just imagine that on an every day you are sitting there, if you're lone child, so you're just there at home, you're logging onto your machine, and then it's break time, so you just go and stretch, and then you come back here, and there's something that you're missing. The social element, which will be once a week.
We actually even do PE online.
PE online?
Yes.
With virtual characters?
No. Actually, what happens is like we put videos on. Maybe we can be doing aerobics. So they are dancing. They stand up. They dance. It's really fun. You have no idea.
We're coming to the costs. What I have actually not yet met is a homeschooled child who is socially awkward. For some reason, they're not. And to be honest, it does fascinate me. I'm like, how are you so? You're very social, you're very measured, you're very mature. That's what I've seen more than the other, more than awkward. And even now, I think there's some neighbors I think we have. And I was surprised to learn that they're homeschooled. And I'm like, y'all are very chill and measured and very aware.
Probably goes to what she's saying, which is the intentionality. She's saying by the time a parent comes to me, they've done their research and already they know the first detractor or whatever of homeschooling is that there's no socialization. So they'll probably go into overdrive to compensate and to make sure that they do socialize their kids well. This is just thinking out loud.
Makes sense.
But because you know that they're not in regular school, they're not socializing, you're overcompensating or trying to make sure that
maybe not over
that there's a balance.
You're balancing.
You're trying to find. You're more intentional about the balance. Okay. Costs of homeschooling.
Cost of homeschooling. So it depends. So number one, when I talk about homeschooling, I'll not only talk about Elimu Plus, but I'll talk about homeschooling in general. So if you do personalized one-on-one, it is somehow a little bit expensive. But if you're doing like online classes that are structured, it is very cheap. Like what I can say is we have like, picture this. You want to take your child in a personalized place, like a place where you have fewer learners, a private school where you have fewer learners, and then you want the attention to be there, you want everything for them. So private schools that are physical are actually more expensive as compared to home-based that is online. Number one, we are usually half. Parents pay half of what they will get, the quality they will get in these schools. So for that, it is very cheap. But if you're doing one-on-one, most of the time you'll find this homeschooling institution or homeschooling teachers who are freelancers, they charge per hour. So if you're being charged per hour, when you start calculating, it becomes somewhat expensive. But if you come to an institution where we have these grouped classes, very few learners, and it's personalized, then it's very cheaper. Number two, you don't pay for school bus. That is number one. Number two, you're not paying for uniform. Number three, you don't have to buy many books and pay for these books. Like like for us, for the online classes, we have digital interactive books, and we're into EdTech space, given that we are an online school, so which is education and technology. So what happens is, because we're in that space, we have so many people who have invented and have found solutions for books online, which we call them digital interactive books. They are very exciting, they are very stimulating, because it's not just a book where you are reading. It's for example, if you're being asked letter A, let's say for a child, you're being asked letter A, you take letter A, you drag it. If it's tracing, you take your pen, you trace. Like you feel like you're interacting with the books, and then they have even games that are very interactive, and they promote education.
Yeah, but how would you make homeschooling accessible at scale? Because I can imagine somebody, it sounds like obviously you need to have access, say, to a laptop, right? The other things, I can see how that's a decent balance. I'm not thinking about uniform, I'm not thinking about, I don't know, school lunch, I'm not thinking about the bus, I'm not thinking about all that. But is it really truly accessible at scale? Or do you admit, nope, this is quite niche. This one cannot be accessible at scale to many, many people?
Okay, so homeschooling generally, what I've come to say, it's mainly accessible to, unfortunately or fortunately, to middle class and high class.
Okay.
For those who are in the other bracket, the challenge is maybe accessibility to devices, and of course, if you're choosing maybe a teacher coming home, a teacher coming home is more expensive as compared to online, because online they are grouped, so it becomes cheaper. So somehow for those who are in the lower income bracket, they are left out. Yeah.
Okay.
Is it? I don't know. I'm wondering, but this is now a fix to have with the Ministry of Education, what Eric was talking about earlier, because some of the needs for homeschooling that you gave us are, it's not choice per se. It's this child needs to get an education, and the system as is can't sustain them.
Can't accommodate them.
Yeah, whether it's the fact that they're either sickly or they're ailing or they have special needs, that's problematic. But when you think about homeschooling standardization, because we've talked about how to get them into exams and everything, what are the quality control measures that exist? Because I don't know if NEC or the Ministry of Education does regular inspection. I don't know. Essentially, it's only at the exam point that you find out whether this learning has been
ideally,
happening.
In regular school,
Yeah.
the ministry should have, the regular inspectors. This is why even when Kina Sosion was saying, the quality control aspect of the ministry was dropped when they started throwing it between the Teacher Service Commission and the Ministry of Education. So there should be inspectors who go to schools and they come in and they sit and they're checking the quality of learning. How is the teacher, delivering the subject, the pedagogy as designed by KICD and so on and so forth.
Right.
Now, to your question again, how do you do that for homeschooling?
Okay.
How do you ensure that we are actually delivering the same quality or better?
Okay. All right. So we have various ways we do that. Okay, I'll talk on behalf of Elimu Plus, but I know there are challenges with especially those parents who choose to get homeschooling, freelance homeschooling teachers. But as an institution, number one, we have to ensure we have TSC qualified teachers. That is number one. Number two, we have to follow the curriculum as provided by KICD.
Right.
Number three, we usually have, we have exams that are usually done per region that sometimes are sold. Sometimes we buy them so that we see these students, how are they performing in reference to other students. So those are some of the things. And of course, the one that equalizes all, national examinations. Yeah.
I'm thinking through this, and everything that you've described, it's very good. It's answering a question, but it just sits back at me, and I'm like, the incompetence at the Ministry of Education is at play here, because this is it. What we are answering here is an issue of access and quality.
True.
If you think about all the why, we asked why. A parent may have a child with special needs, a child who requires, some specialized care, some more attention in class, and so on and so forth. A parent is thinking the quality of school that I have versus where I live, and I do not want to move from where I live so that we can get closer to the school. It's all about access and quality. Which is the job of the Ministry of Education. If the Ministry of Education ensured that we have good quality schools in your neighborhood, so it doesn't really matter where you live. Child walks to nearby school, which is of the same quality as any other school elsewhere. That would answer question. The number of pupils, learners per teacher. Again, if you address that ratio, you'd be dealing with a lot. These are knowing that now we're dealing with integration. So you have in this class, you have some child with special need, developmental challenges, and knowing that and having extra teachers to support those, it is all a thing that is a constitutional right for that child
100%.
to access. But because we have incompetence at the highest levels in our government, we don't have it. So we end up now having, with all this, you're struggling to find out what's the best solution that I can offer, because my child is growing and they've got to get access. And Helen, you're answering a need and you're doing a good job, but it's a job that you should be.
Have to.
You have trained as a teacher. You should be teaching learners in a school that is run properly.
Yeah, I hear you. It's just parents' frustration saying either the system isn't working, it's too expensive, it's too inaccessible. Therefore, I'm almost forced to go to homeschooling.
Seek an alternative.
Whereas it should have been something that's in the very rare exception is where we go to homeschooling. But you're absolutely right.
Even this, the fact that the government acknowledges UPBET, the alternative provision of basic education and training, that the government can accept that there can be an alternative provision of basic education, particularly targeting it because they started targeting it at the slums and such. The slum areas. Why are children in the slum areas getting to train differently from children from other areas? We don't have public schools in our slums. So it's okay, you guys can come up with a school, we shall register you.
Yeah, some feedback. There's quite a lot of feedback. Huh?
Yes.
You want to read some?
We can
Mariam,
start with YouTube. How do homeschool parents regulate screen time? I can imagine that's a lot of screen time. And you actually, my God, I'd not thought about that. You're on the screen throughout. All right. And then Eliza is asking, or is saying, I love how homeschool provides a flexible schedule and a safe learning environment, protecting children from negative influences like bullying and peer pressure. And there's someone else threading on the peer pressure thing. That's Teroni Louise, saying homeschooling reduces exposure to negative peer pressure, bullying, or unsafe school environment. Kikombe also says some most recent research suggests plenty of positive results for homeschooling. One challenge is regulation, and as UNESCO worries, can be against the rights of every child to be at school. Donge? Okay. Do you have a right to education, or you have a right to be at school? Interesting. According to UNESCO specifically. Njuguna G. Hi, Fixers. A group also forgotten is the parents who are going through legal cases involving custody of minors or school choice. How many teachers can come to my house per day?
That's interesting, because I was actually going to say, when the situations where Helen might end up one day being forced to make is their home environment safe? I feel like that could be a decision where you're like, I don't know that this child should be homeschooled if the home environment, from my assessment,
is not safe.
But that's a lot of questions for 3 minutes, Helen. So I don't know.
Maybe begin with the screen time question. I think that's a really good place to start.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what usually happens, there's I've forgotten that, but we usually advise parents to put a screen protector on their laptop to avoid blue light, a lot of blue light. So I've forgotten the name. I'll get at it. The other bit is after school. Our school ends at 3:10. After school, they're supposed to be free all the time. So no screen, but this is regulated by the parent. You see, we cannot control where we are. The parent has to control. So that is what we have. Yeah, for now.
Okay.
The other one for
UNESCO. The
UNESCO,
question on the regulation as a challenge, as UNESCO worries, it can be against the right of every child to be at school. Okay, I'd like to know if it's a right to school or a right to education. And then school, again, this is homeschool. Anyway, you answer. Yeah.
According to Education Act of 2013, Kenyan Act, every child has a right to basic education. And I think that's what we are addressing, especially for kids who are unable to access basic education. I hope I've answered that. I've been told it's 3 minutes.
I think so. Yeah. We'll probably dig deeper if he means there's a specific UNESCO thing that maybe we're not privy to, but we'll look into that.
And then I think around the exposure to bullying and peer pressure, I don't know if there's data you can speak to whether homeschooling has shown that there is actually a difference between a homeschooled child being a bit more, not sheltered actually, protected from negative influences in school. Is that anecdotal, or is there data to it?
At the moment, I don't have data to it. Okay. But what I know is most students who come with such issues of maybe bullying, they usually stay. They don't go. When they find homeschooling, they find a safe space and they don't want to go back. So that is one of the things. And I can say maybe from our institution, around, I think around 30% come from issues with peer pressure, bullying, some even influence from drug addictions. So yeah, that is what I've observed.
Okay, and do some children transition from homeschool to regular school? You also try and facilitate that in case a child is homeschooled for the first 10 years, but then a parent says, I want them to join middle school. Is that something that happens?
It happens.
Okay.
It does, because sometimes you find a parent is outside the country, they are doing online classes, then they are now back. They want to take the child back to school. So they transition, and the transition is usually seamless. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, this is some game changer on Twitter, just as we close. Says, my concern is the limited exposure. For example, when a teacher asks, name an animal with 4 legs, Latif in an ordinary school has seen a mongoose in his hometown in Tumutumu. Kids will be curious. But I imagine in a homeschool, examples given are common animals. So itakuwa cow,
Cat.
dog. Instead of mongoose. I don't know what you think about that. Are homeschooled kids seeing mongoose? No. But I know there's a lot of ways to expose them as well. And like you said, there's a lot of after-school activity. You get to be outside and interact with the world, right?
Yeah, true. Plus, you see, they're coming from different parts of the country, even outside the country. So they've seen a lot. Like, for example, we have actually a lot of our diaspora parents are from Dubai. So during this period where we were having measles, students could explain to other students what actually is happening. So I think they have more exposure because people are coming from different parts, different cultures, so they're exposed.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I'm taking out of here is that there are different levels of homeschooling. There's homeschooling like what you're offering, where it's virtual classroom with several learners, 7 learners with a teacher. That's one. And then there's one which is personalized, which a parent can opt for, the personalized learning, where it's me as a teacher and this learner, and then I go.
Yeah.
So there's those two. I think the last question that Jackson was asking, for I think the second option, how do you deal with this child not socializing as much?
Okay.
They're only dealing with them I went to class and I was only being taught by this one learner, through the day. And then tomorrow he'll come again.
Okay.
And then maybe once in a week we'll go swimming, or play with other kids, and he'll be monitoring me and then taking me back home.
Okay, so like I said, 10% of our learners are actually doing that, either physical homeschooling or one-on-one online with the teacher. So for them, they join others because when we are having like life skills lesson and guidance and counseling lessons, they are together, they are sharing the experiences. They also join others in everything they do. Apart from when they are learning, it is just one-on-one.
Okay.
But they have those chances to join others and to socialize with others. Yeah.
Okay, a lot more to ask, but we're at time because I think there's a lot that interesting personal questions that people would have.
Okay.
But thank you for shedding light on homeschooling. But next to not to Miss Mariam.
Miss
Umeamua.
No, echoes of silence.
Yeah.
Echoes of silence. Miss me with that. That's the front page of the Daily Nation. But we'll be right back after this. The hashtag is Fixing the Nation NTV.